That's a fact. Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma ever served because this lecture is this afternoon is someone who is not Miriam Makeba. And she has never is Miriam Makeba. Be Miriam, even if she tried. As much as not have been today, one can be. However, this afternoon is someone who embodies, reflects, and epitomizes the various elements, the key elements that signify Mama Miriam Makeba. If you consider Mama Miriam Makeba as a musician, a songstress, and a performer, as a cultural ambassador, and someone who championed humanitarian causes in Africa, and someone whose lives on the continent dearly embraced as Africa, well, these aspects do resonate and reflect the life of our lecturer this afternoon. Yvonne Chaka Chaka can briefly be described as a performing artist, an entrepreneur, a teacher, and a humanitarian. You see, humanitarian, like Miriam Makeba. She was born in Bizodwa, much in Dobsonville. She whispered to me, she's also Mangamotoko. She studied later education and management, if not at university. And she pursued a postgraduate diploma in business at another institution. I forgot. In 2023, she obtained her honors in management practice and has now registered for the MBA with that very same institution. I want to say that she has 3 honorary degrees. And since her introduction to industry as early 1980s, she developed herself and her portfolio so much so that she diversified and expanded into a musician, a record producer, a talk radio, and in TV drama. I won't mention them. So as a performing artist, she shared the stage with men and words, and I don't know, may even check Queen Elizabeth. Didn't stay there. Performed also alongside Jones. You shared the the late, and many others. Like Mama Africa, music has taken her, that is Yvonne Chaka Chaka, to different parts of the African continent and all over. In 19, if you don't concept, in 19, the name of Africa after a successful in Europe, Uganda. During her main backing vocalist contracted malaria in Gabon. That was in 2004. And later, sadly so, she died. So tragedy touched our lecture so deeply that She later became a goodwill ambassador for the United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF, and the Rollback Malaria Partnership. In other words, the United and Rollback Malaria formed a partnership to fight this scourge. So she's the Princess of Africa Foundation to champion the change. She has since traveled the world advocating for social change, social justice, education, and economic empowerment for women and girls. Like Mama Miriam Makeba initiate the Center for Boys. So you can see the difference here that deliberate. Yvonne Chaka Chaka is the female recipient of the World Economic Forum Crystal Award. She has also been chosen 100 world-class African and was voted 8th, the 8th most powerful musician magazine. Voted that more women deliver. Served as the first for the Nelson Mandela Children's 66664 campaign, which raises global awareness of HIV and serves as the panel force. I hope the lecturer will clarify whether you're celebrating this 66664 and also the honorary calendar. Ma Africa, I know very well that conceptualized and launched the biannual Backing Vocalist and Session Musicians Award in 2014 and in 2017 received the Crans Montana Forum's Gold Medal in recognition of her role in the United Nations for Africa on affecting women and children and fight against diseases such as HIV, AIDS, TB, malaria. With the 2017 ET, that is Black Entertainment Television, International Good Award for her like Mama Makeba. At the height of COVID-19 pandemic in 2020, through the President of Africa Foundation, on her empower women only radio. That will radio societal discuss all issues of society. Ladies and gentlemen, I did not even give the explanation. I'm not going to do that. Of what her background or profile is. However, I'm sure that whatever I've just presented to you will help you have an idea of who our lecturer is this afternoon. And that I have said, she is not Miriam Makeba, and she is even Chaka Chaka. Mama Africa is Prince of Africa. Please, let's rise, come, May Yvonne to the podium to deliver the Miriam Makeba.
Good afternoon. Bonsoir. Monsieur. Yvonne Chaka. My name is Yvonne Chaka, or you can call it. I know 2 years ago or a year ago, I went to Miriam Makeba. So if you are a woman, there will always be years of democracy. It comes to education and all of that. Waiting to hear. Yes, looking at her and thinking this is an disaster. But today, let's talk about the hopes that I always tell people I have one passport and I am a proud African, even though I love this. Everybody believes milk and honey, mineral, but to those, it becomes like an other. Correct. Linkambula in her absentia. Say thank you to Professor Nkomo. I'd also like to thank the Makeba Foundation. Thank the embassy. Thank our esteemed young Upi. Sugum. Ela leo mali. Mdanam lomtat. So my fellow new Miriam Makeba, who loved her, who inspired. Miriam was like Madiba. You were in her space. You were the only one. She loved many children, not only in but in the world. Inspired us. I'd like to stand up. Okay, Lumumba is very quiet. Went out. Okay. All right, Ayanda. Never met your great. This is Bongi's only daughter. This is Bongi's daughter. And he is. But thank you. I was co-head 3 days ago. I've got an aunt, and I have buried my aunt yesterday. But because I was 7, I had to do what I had to do. Sister, and thank you, Refilwe, for who looks at. She acted to make it happen. Construction, and she's selfless. She does this. I always. This is not easy to talk to everybody. It's humble. Never seen a humble person. Humble, I can't describe my, but she lecture critic around theory. Now I'll attempt that. Many people, my counterparts, my sisters, Miriam, 19, fortunately, others say 9th, and others say met demise in November 2008. She was nicknamed. She was a songwriter, she was a musician, she was an actress, and a civil rights activist. The love with her, a daughter of a Swazi father. She grew up in Sophia Town. This was a segregated place where only people were put. Black mothers, such places, and there were some of them taken into townships. She began singing in a school choir at a very early age. She became a professional vocalist in 1954, performing primarily in South. A daughter to a healer, as people said. A mother to a beautiful girl called Bongi. A grandmother to Zenzile Lee and Lumumba Lee. And a great mother to Ayanda and her siblings. Thank you, Maurice, for also pulling my hand to be part of this, working tirelessly to make sure that the Makeba Foundation functions. You know, foundations are very difficult to run. You need money. Somebody who takes her own money here. That's exactly what she does. So, one of us, our bit. I can never be Namshope. Namshope cannot be Miriam Makeba. Mara Law cannot be Huma say. Our ways are for a reason. And you look at yourself in the mirror, every freckle, it's where it's supposed to be. I'm here. So I you always dig at the foundation. And so there, and I will urge you and plead with you, support such. A school for girls. The they say if you want to hide something from a child, put it in a book. Because there are people who work to make sure that the child has knowledge. Like this. Okay. they do that. And not because sometimes it is a all do it in different ways, and others do it in other ways as well. So today we are standing here acknowledging and commemorating the African queen, Mama Miriam. Are we as proud that she was one of us, even though she was the woman of the world? As South Africans can stand tall and say she was one of us. Did we love her? Did we respect her? The world did. And if we did, how do we correct that? In the 90s, she was with a group called the Manhattan Brothers. Later, she sang called the Skylarks. Sis Abigail was the Skylarks. These ladies did it when it was not possible. Would come to the and go and wash dishes and pretend to be helpers. This is where from. Remember, there were recreational places for our people, but they stood there and said, we are going to do it. And it wasn't easy. Today, our young people have got all the amenities and will live in this global space, and they can expose themselves, which is really, really amazing. Makeba leaves South place. Everything and everything. We see things happening in this people, and some die. Ask us to make things happen for mentoring a Black Life at Covette. Was Lionel a South African, Mara?
Yes, I think so.
Who made it happen? Dada Mujapir.
He was behind.
Film. So they here, Makeba played herself some small Anyana places, but they made it big. That's how our parents brought us up. So these are all the songs that because this was the music that was banned. Songs like Kuleba Ja Letambule on a film called Young Artists inspired Miriam Makeba. And there were other stars who inspired Makeba, like Dolly, the very first film star, beautiful Dolly Ratte, and the one, the ladies, talented, and they did not compete, but they worked together to complete each other. Dorothy Masuku wrote the songs. Most of the songs that Mama Miriam Makeba sang were written by Dorothy Masuku. Hapo Zamani. Pata Pata, the very first song by Dorothy Masuku. Goli Goli. You know, in Go with Van Rode, they worked together, complemented each other. This time, that Sophia Town song. Songs on, and so they knew how to express themselves. We don't even so in this world of by the Dolly, the not sure or about Sis Queen would Doke House is no more today. Doke House to give Mandaba money. I used to pay who was even making clothes. We should be talking about. We should shift their names. Just say, hi, I've arrived. And you forget me, Mama Africa. Who? Miriam Makeba. So, you see, they say he was a. So it says here, invited Mama Miriam on the television and played at the village. Now Miriam appears at this film festival instantly. And some young man, Harry. Remember, she'd been. Sansa, still alive. David Rame was the one who was talking to her. And how did they do it? In the form of arts. People in the arts very seriously as well. Now, not always be blaming Gavso here. Are the Kapaso people here? Oh, they collect the royalties, just like you organization artists as well. Yeah. A big deal, a big deal. And people expose the atrocities that, and for that, Exile, when she exile for 30 years. Now, when Conte made sure that boards, Lama American bangut menang zocula ngiti menang ngiti ka la zocula kanje That's how she was. So she did a famous click song, which everybody shortly after Sharpeville, 1960, Miriam Makeba had died. Her South African passport was revoked, and she was prevented from returning home. And that was the beginning of the 30 years of suffering. Can you imagine not being able to come and make her? But now she's in exile. She doesn't have to come back home. She wants to come back, but she can't. Her first return to the continent of Africa came at Kenya in 1962. I was not even born. The following year, she gave very first several addresses to the UN, as everybody to. The first person who sat there and saw the bad things that are happening in this continent. She then was invited to perform in Ethiopia, and she became the very first person to be invited by Haile Selassie to perform at OAU. Do you know that Miriam was only first to perform? She must have done it 3 times. This woman was a setter. But what I like about Mazi was that she took us with her. Saw the need. Beginning now, she would take different and I didn't want to be Mazi. I don't want to be her. But I was just lucky by her walking in her, trying to do what I was doing, because I could never have achieved that. I would never have done it her way. But we all do things in a different way to fulfill what God wants us to do. Now, never have your background deter you from wanting to be what you want to be. Be what you want to be. They can point at you, but if God says it's done, it will be done. Who knew that a daughter of just an ordinary man will become a stateswoman? And that's what. And probably we will be president. Be one of those kids who was done to be the next president. Believe in yourself and dream of 66. She became the very first who've won Grammy Awards. They were also inspired by people like Cesaria. A song inspired by different people, but we don't Mazi's success and to raise awareness about apartheid and other injustices that were happening. Why did Makeba decide to go to Guinea? Did she do it at will? I don't know, but let's see. While she and her husband were traveling in the Bahamas, she was banned from returning to the United States of America, and her visa was refused. So it means the South African government connived with the Americans because they saw her and the country come back. We're going to take her visa. They did just that. And came back, they're America. Where her then husband, Stokely Carmichael, changed his name to Kwame Ture. Makeba did not return to the US until 1987. So Guinea remained Makeba's home for the next 15 years. She couldn't go back to South Africa, and she stayed in Guinea. And unfortunately, in Guinea, the only daughter, Bongi, died whilst giving birth to her son Temba, and she is buried there today. And she never got home to South Africa. And at the time of Bongi's death, diagnosed with cancer, and she's been told, you are also going. You don't have family. You are in a foreign land. But what is nice is that you, by the people you don't even know, they give you a home and they make you feel as comfortable as possible. Madame, merci. Merci. Love. It was like outside. I don't know if you know where Mazi lived. She came back in South Africa. 10-acre yard, huh? Emaplazini, hlala emaplazini. Athi mina ngifuna idorofa. Uhlala emaplazini ngifaka roho. Started singing in 1985. And in 19, I made lots of money, guys. And I tried. I'd never. I thought I'd never traveled. Very nice. A chaperone. And I traveled with Patrick Black, Sharon van Black. So we did America first. I mean, I had not. So they said, okay, we'll have your itinerary. I didn't even know what an itinerary was. My itinerary, they said, okay, America first. You'll go to Europe and then you'll come. This is 19. So they're going to take my royalties. But it's okay. It's okay, Glungel. So I went to New York. I went to LA. I went to Florida. I went to Bahamas. No, I'm lying. I didn't go to Bahamas. But places in America. Thank you to, who is the, was it Cape Town? Man. Jonathan Butler. Jonathan Butler. I bumped into Jonathan Butler in Washington, and he was And guess what? He introduced me to Whitney Houston. It's amazing. And then I go to New York. I'm walking the streets of New York, and I'm on street. Guess who? And if you are a South African, if you hear something goes, you know that's a South African. I looked and I'm like, and I could hear that voice. And guess who was that? Ray Peary. Ray, it's 1997. He's in coming to and he says, "Ka ufunanla." I'm like, "How? When and he said, "Was." I'm like, "Hey, where's this man taking me to?" He holds me by the hand. He takes me, we walk 2 blocks. Yeah, in America, when they say 2 blocks, 2 blocks. And we walk, and at the back of my mind, I'm asking myself, is Ray taking me to me? We get into a block of flats, and it's written, Omni. We get into this flat, and he knocks. On her leg, the stove. He said, shuts the door, and Ray says, Mazi, hello. Oh, Manshasha. No. And the stove. Her leg. And that was interaction with Miriam. We became a mother and daughter. And I said to the organizers, it was in this beautiful apartment, and Zenzi and Lumumba were there. Lumumba used to Is Zenzi here? No? But at the time. And the following year, when they went, I must watch, where she was going. Because and I did not know if to book, but and he took me again to the hotel. Home is like an hour away. Would go and perform in Lesotho, gave our brothers refuge. Homophobic. Find people in Europe, the British, go to Spain. They'll go to Italy, and no one will chastise them. But we've become enemies of one another. Yet some of these people gave us refuge, our brothers refuge as well. But all I'm saying is that things are correctly. I will not go to London if I a very for that matter. What I'm saying is that we don't need to look at each other as enemies. We need each other and learn. And made home she didn't stay there for long. So she stayed outside, as they said. The Dala, it's called, in a place called Dala, which is away now. That where she could make her own food, where she could have freedom. And I urge to really help. When I got a call last year, Ambassador Mullo, that our government, many people had given our mother refuge in Malabar, kept alive, and take young people in the arms and see. See where our mother is from, to His Excellency, who gave. And if you want the best strawberries, that is the place. Was this big activist. She gained prominence as a citizen of the world. She became the opponent of the apartheid system. She was a woman with 9 passports and honorary citizenships in 10 countries. Half of us can say that. Everywhere she went, she received a passport and she was given a place she could call home. How many of us brag about that? Of us. Mandela said, her haunting melodies gave voice to the pain of exile and dislocation, which she felt for 31 long years. At the same time, music inspired a powerful sense of hope in all of us. She kept. She did not. My places near every, and she would try and speak language. She was a lady. I was to have lived in her beautiful house in Brussels with all my children. She was the best cook. I never ate prawns, but the first prawns I ate were cooked by Miriam Makeba. Every time I traveled, Mazi would cook for my children and for my husband. And she taught me one thing. Oh, we can't do that. Hey, but Mazi would cook with big pots. It was very genuine. Cook. Lots of for me. Who used to make Mazi. She was a fashion icon. And you see the hairstyles as when it was not fashionable. So we have all the rights. Yes. I want to say thank you, Mbeki, and say thank you who saw it fit on this second level. Great Miriam Makeba. We could not have chosen a better ambassador. She's done it for us. She's done it for this continent, and we need We needed to give her her flowers when she was alive. It's never too late. We can correct the wrongs. We can still build that statue or a monument, Mandula, for Mazi. Because when she passed on, she was cremated and she asked that her remains be thrown in the sea. And they could spread in the world where she was and where she was loved. Different coats. This is some of them. I will probably die singing. And indeed, she did. In every community, in every nation, people are doing little and big things to help make a better world. That has been accomplished to date. Space, exploration, satellites, communications, heart transplants. Today we have managed to do what previous generations of. You see today around the world, 820 million people still don't have enough to eat. And it doesn't have to be. And at heart. She continued, everybody now admits that apartheid was wrong. All I did was to tell the people who wanted to know where from and how. I just told the world the truth. And if my truth then becomes political, I can't do anything. Say, at a stream and I see myself, South African flowing over, they become smooth. One day, here, flowing from an origin that has been towards an end. My culture. I kept the music. Through I became the voice, image of the people without even realizing. And what does she do when she's in New York? She says, in New York, I had a piece of ground written by a white South African, Jeremy Taylor. I modified it, saying it my way. Special to me because the land in Southern Africa, we were possessed of our land. And with the help of Harry Fonte, they then say, Mabauye, She was a mother, daughter, grandmother, leader, and yet humble. She didn't want to do things because she wanted to be on Instagram. She didn't do things because she wanted to be on TikTok. I wonder what was she going to say. Do you think she would have been on? Very smart. She was very smart. Now we live in this open world, in this global space where we connect with others that we don't see. And to our children, I want to say you can be anything. Those are the way for us. Let us thank them. Let us cherish them. Let us say, came before us and they did things for us. Now, to each and every one of you, these are the last words. Hold a piece. What does it do? It paints rainbows on the wall. When we tap it lightly with a spoon, it sings like a bird. But when we drop it, it shatters in colorless silence, peace on the floor. Human beings to our apartment can be fragile as glass. It's especially easy to forget what people we live with or have know how long we love them. We take it for granted, the very quality that makes us love them in the very first place. We forget and hear the people, appreciate them, we grow careless. Too often from sheer negligence. The relationship between us grows dull and silent, then slip, then fall, and shatters. Paying attention to other people's needs and feelings can prevent this. Whose presence I appreciate today? I want to appreciate your presence. I want to appreciate time, the environment around us, but above all, I want to appreciate Mazi's life and thank God for her life and thank God for you and for your years. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to talk about my mother, my hero, and the world-class performer. Merci beaucoup. Bye, Yankee.
We have touched this lecture. There were a few issues that were raised. The colonial education and the teachings of Mazi. This year we come with two or three. Restoration of the size of Miriam was at from the Talaba from Bini. We spoke about Doke House. We spoke about the monument and the statue. Towards the end of Section 25 of the same Constitution on the land question, cultural diplomats have to understand the language. Cultural diplomacy, the multilingualism. You also raised the issue of those who inspired Maz, because all of them inspired us. But you went on sharing about Dorothy Masu. I think that was to remind also. And to thank also President Sokoture. That's very important for us also to be reminded of the role that Guinea Conakry played. Tanzania, Kenya, first countries. Spora or the Jamaica, and also that Mazi had an impact. So in these 30 years that you have said, it is important that we look around those areas. I don't know, we had some few comments. After a lecture, you can put us to reflect. I'm hesitant to take questions, observations to the close. So, but left on that text. Like Abo Mamara Law is busy sharing notes with Ntate Mujab the lecture. But let me call Ntate Milo to do the closing remarks and Messi closer to give the Milo, Prof. David Milo. And get the vote of thanks from the Miriam. Our streaming when didn't record, so it will go, it will be uploaded later also. Technical glitches. Prof, you can come forward. Thank you.
Thank you to you all. Is history that is documented in the library, and there is history that is undocumented. And to we were all to listen and enjoy the history of Mama Africa that was undocumented. Most of listen to, and even about the experience of points that, and perhaps before I talk about the points that we take, let me years Africa is celebrating years of democracy. Makeba was the country for 30 years. Basically, we're talking about milestones. Resources, therefore, is the venue. Here is a little money that you can use in order to host this august event. And a very capable group of under the leadership of speaker he said he was biased. He didn't tell me that we have. These are great speakers. And we also want to appreciate the support that we get from the people of Guinea-Conakry. And I was there last year as part of the delegation. And if you go to Guinea, you go to most African countries, you realize that most of our musicians are known. The music is being played, maybe even more than here at home. And perhaps bring us the we have to take, young, old, across all, and discuss. And I think at reflect speeches, there was one point that central to most of the state. And Mama Maralo, maybe we have to do it ourselves. Perhaps it's something much more thoroughly as a challenge. We have got to a deep pocket. If expensive elsewhere, why can't you support and buy locally? So some of the things that we need to reflect on. Know enough about our own. And that also raises questions about our history, about the arts as well as music. Do we teach what is right? Emotional. And I'm sure you would realize that the very first speaker would actually not finish talk, because it was very hard that we do not take care of our own artists. Do we want the people who make us happy over the weekend when we drive in our cars and when we are in an emotional state? Do we want these people to die? Where what South African should be. The about copying. We go and copy. I'm glad that most that we wanted to be ourselves, and those who came before us of copying, they were and out of those collaborations, what we had was great music year after year. And we also have a lesson. We must be that the said, in fact, it can be done. It is a much more loaded, especially. Mama Chaka Chaka also said, there might be a president of the future. It can, yes, we can. One president of America did. And therefore it means introspection. Mama Chaka Chaka also started her lecture, and she was a true, because we ask questions in terms of certain prominent people who were very significant in as far as the arts and music in Africa. But she asked questions that we need to reflect on as South Africa about these 30 years of democracy. And by the way, we are going to vote very soon. Let's go there and do the right thing. But she asked questions regarding the abuse of women as well as children. Unfortunately, it is done by us men. But those of us who are not doing it, it means that she's challenging us. Stand up and protect those that are vulnerable in our country. She also asked us whether we did love her. And she was talking about Makeba. That requires us to reflect. Are we acting and behaving as one? Africa's borders were actually drawn by those who were after the minerals of this country. And you know they have succeeded, because she was pointing out we now are hating instead of and each other. Now, do we really take our artists very seriously? And there was also a call for those of us who can help the foundations. The CEO of Miriam Makeba Foundation is here. He did tell us that there is a center for girls in this current state of our communities. And he said, operation. And I'm buying Louis Vuitton. No, it's not it. Okay. Okay, but some of us are in that. But he is actually asking us if we can just downgrade a bit and do a donation to him and other like foundations. If we do that, we will be able to build a better, also be able to better Africa. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prof. I thought you were going to foreign policy of the country, better Africa, better world, better South Africa. Foreign policy that you are in. We'll have, as I'm calling those who have to. Ayanda, if you can come forward to start with our main, our guest lecture. The presenter of the lecture will be. Come forward. If you can come forward. Medrina. Those who are in the panel actually, since in the afternoon. As well. And come as well. Refreshments will be served. You came before lunchtime. Color film. For this part of me bar we start love and appreciation to Nisa. Part of the university parliament. Just for if we can move to flow. Memara tebo ho akomzimhlophe singakumethi namhlophe yeah, the first council in charge of economic affairs and to Dabo. Okay, exchange gift from G. Mazibuko. No, say Mazibuko. Asante sana. This is a gift. Sabonga. Ntate Max Mujapelo. Aretele From the foundation and the family, Tate Maurice Roda, Roda, Ayanda. Ayanda, I think we are left with Ayanda from the family. Granddaughter, Miriam Makeba as well. Raleboga, as we're going to do the vote of thanks, just again, the food will be served at the foyer. After this vote of not doing it will be like Mtadeski Mpahlele now, reiteration, we repeat every time. After the culture group will come to the podium, working out to have food. I want to thank you once more. Metato, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Lovely day with all the speakers that we had. It was amazing. So, of all, I would like to thank the Almighty God, because if it wasn't Katato Yahai, we wouldn't all be here. So this is the day that was made by Him for us to celebrate His life, Mama Miriam. And then secondly, I would like to thank Mama Miriam, because if it wasn't for her, we wouldn't be here. So Mama, she was supposed to be 92, and it much to say about it. Yes, she has achieved, and it doesn't make sense to you know. And I always say, not special people, because God, we all have that God gives us talents, but there are those ones that God uses, and they are called people with specials. You know, those special, the special one today they have a star. So those with a star, recognized by everyone, because that can see who they are. And I always say, mostly we see that you are not recognized where you get with her. So when she's outside, everybody's excited. When she comes back to South Africa, yeah, the stories. Why? Because she's special, and her recognition doesn't come from South Africa, but it comes beyond the continent. So she gets more support from others, and it's about time that we change. And we should be fighting with her, so that when the heroine passes on, then that we have already started that celebration of celebrating them while they're still alive. And thirdly, I would like to thank Unisa and Tabaku. Bule Lenkabula, Professor Iri, Professor Mantula, and Tate David Letwalo. And if they manage by giving her while she's still alive, to give others alive, we want to celebrate them while they're still here. So I'm saying you have the people that I'm going to thank now. You see what we call a true friendship, a true bond that you don't see nowadays. And as much as our youth will say, "Baba, you know, they're old," but we see the true definition of Ubuntu through their eyes, actions, and that's what we're talking about when we say you must learn from the others. That's exactly what they're still get people to come and like contribute just to the center. We struggle. But a phone call, I call Mama, Mommy, I need you. She's there, and I don't see that. I can, in my age, somebody who's in the music industry, and they will tell me what's in for me, and I'm like, we're just trying to raise the same thing that you advocate when you go and sing and you say GVB. Now we have a center that we want to upbring. So I need you to help me and the board so that we can, money, so that, no, they'll say, no, go get money and you'll call me, And then you're asking yourself, where is the spirit of the one that Mama was praying and talking about? It was not years for us. All citizens of South Africa, and I'm what is that thing that now every day when I wake up, this is what I do as my Africa, because government who's supposed to do everything of South Africa to anything that's happening, whether positively or negatively. Your choice that you are today in this lecture to say what kind of a person are you going to be, what citizen are you going to be. And then Moni, thank you so much. Some of the things so we were, I appreciate you as your contribution. When I call you even at night, you are always there. Thank you so much. Mayor Abigail, we do support the center. And then fifthly, the of Guinea, Santo Dabo. Thank you for taking care of taking this time to be here with us, and for Omar. For your country, for celebrating not only your country, but all the African countries and beyond, celebrating Umama. Of the Makeba Foundation and the trustees, and the Sipo Roda, thank you so much. I know his partner, we are trying, like, he calls me daily, the program, what are we doing? That's what he does. And thank you, trustee, we are fighting. And we are not. Thank while I'm the board members, the supporters, I'm also making a plea. 6 years is a long time to be saying this over and over. Last year we were here, we did speak about the center, but not even a single person actually the center. I'm sure others are just talking about the center. They don't even know how the center looks like. So Mama Yvonne went there and she was in shock to say, this is not what Manzi would have wanted. So my plea is, just go and see the center. Just go and see what we're talking about. And think about all the young girls that are getting abused on a daily basis. To a house that is available. There is a center that was built for exactly that. Available. It's just that it's not. They said we must fix this, we must. You can do as you can't. There's where you need collaboration. Now we are collaborating with different NGOs. There's musical instruments that are there. Mama left the instruments there. But now, why are we talking implementing? And are we celebrating her if we don't really celebrate by showing, speaks louder than words? The plea is all we like, but open. She wants to take care of young girls. So please support monetary let's look at, policy. If you have your embassies and so on, let's see how do we work with them to get the center operational. So it's my plea today, as we really need, please, let's make sure that it doesn't die with her. And then, thank you so much, online viewers. And obviously, I would like to thank everybody that they without all of you. Thank you so much.
First to leave, and then we will follow them as the cultural group is coming to perform. Can you just to remind you again that Thabo Mbeki African Day lecture will happen 4th of May on the and YouTube. Yeah, I think that was a number. Yes, I read campus.
Who are in campus?
Hey, Miriam.
Irene.
Come on. How much do you miss? Yeah. I know.
Sure, Steve. Is he happy? I'm happy for that. That's good. Then we've done our job. The Africa Day lecture, where is that going to take